Friday, it's 8 o'clock, and it's the Big Detecting Show.
News just in on a great new resource for detectorists around the world.
Good evening. Tonight we're in the heart of the countryside where an unusual discovery has been made.
Subscribe to Metal Detecting News for all your manufacturer and dealer updates.
Find out what all your favourite YouTubers are up to.
Get news on all the amazing rallies and clubs near you.
You know Metal Detecting News has free giveaways? I'd better subscribe then, it'd be daft to miss out.
Good evening. Hello, friends, and hello, Adrian.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Unfortunately, and Donna tonight is standing in because unfortunately David's not well.
Hello. Yeah, I'm not Dave again.
No, he's not well, unfortunately, and we hope he gets better. He had to go to the doctors again today after his operation he had a few months ago, and he's still not right. So bless him. I hope you get well, Dave, and we miss you.
No.
But we've got Donna.
We've got never mind, Dave. Never mind.
And we got some great guests coming up at the moment. Steve, Bob, and Joe.
Some lively guests. I'm going to say this is going to get lively.
Well, I think it's going to be exciting because Bob discovered a hoard, which has been all over the news this week, and it's a lovely hoard. It's a nice hoard. It's not gold.
It's actually a rare hoard. It's a rare hoard. Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a minute. But how's your week been, Donna? Have you been digging concrete in the ground down south?
I have not been out with my detector now since April, and I can't even watch detecting videos now because I've got the itch so bad.
Yeah.
It's
We
real
need rain.
torture. I've
We
still
need-
got my master puck to send off to be repaired because that's doing
What?
the go.
Your DS2 puck. Why haven't you sent it off?
I've been busy. I've just been busy doing other stuff. I've got an exhibition. I've got an exhibition with the museum on Saturday. If anyone is in the Wicken area, Cambridgeshire, there's their Village Fete, and we're having a little exhibition. So you can come and say hello to us at Wicken Village Fete and dog show. So you can bring your dog and you can let it run riot.
I'll make a note of that. Wickham Village Fete.
Wicken
I won't
Village Fete and dog show on Saturday.
Oh, I could attend, but I won't. I'll probably be too many queues.
And the windmill's open. So if anyone wants to come over and have a look at the oldest working windmill, corn grinding mill in the whole of Cambridgeshire, and it does make actual flour, they can pop along to that as well, and it's free. It's a lovely event, and the weather's due to be really, really nice. So yeah, so we're going to be doing that. But yeah, I'm well frustrated, and I bet there are a lot of detectorists out there equally the same who can't get out. And I mean, Dave has been out up north. You're not too bad up there.
On pasture, I think. I think it's on pasture.
I am so now tempted to. I've got a sandy permission in Bedfordshire, but I am so tempted to try and get some permissions in Norfolk. We drove through Norfolk this week because we've been out and about. So Stuart's been on holiday, and we've been up through sort of Norfolk and Suffolk, and all for some sandy soil. That would be grand this time of the year.
Yeah, that reminds me. I've got to contact Fraser Bailey, who he's a really nice guy. I went there last year in Norfolk, and that was beautiful. Didn't use a spade. Just use your hands. Just use your hands to dig the soil.
And you can't believe it, can you? I mean, when I'm detecting in Bedfordshire, I cannot believe that I don't have to put the spade in. You wood your hand a little bit, and there it is. And you think, well, is that just been on the surface? Like it's just so easy. So how are you getting on with the HF coil? Have you been out?
3 times with that, and the third time it was just the ground. It was frustrating because it was I just couldn't dig it. It was ridiculous.
Things, but you can't get them. Yeah.
But no, it's still here, and I've talked to someone. I've been lending things out. So I lent out the Knox 900 15-inch coil to a friend of mine. I've lent out a pinpointer to someone, and I'm visiting 2 people who are detectorists and chatting to them, and I think that's good because you got social media and Facebook, but it's always nice to talk to people in person and have coils in your hand and this little dinky thing, which is so small.
I think that's a darling. I absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to see how it goes first, but I am really, really tempted. Did anyone see Chris, addicted to bleeps, this week constructed a pinpointer holder? He's done a DIY on storage for your pinpointers.
Well, the most simple one is the pinpointer sheath and cable tie it to your shaft. Oh dear, shaft. Sheath. Yeah, but that's the simplest one. But I have got my favourite one, which is from Germany, believe it or not, which is currently on the DS2, but it fits on the Manticore.
Oh, what a link! Oh, I've not seen one of those.
No, now you see that?
Yeah.
Right. So this is
all right.
Screws and bolts in there, but this is quite clever because everyone 3D prints stuff.
Yeah. So what's that, out of rubber then?
It's 3D printed rubber, and it's from Germany, so it's really compact. And I've had that for about. That was on the DS1. That was on DS1. So that was about 4 years. No, I've had that about 3 years. So
who knew you could even get such a thing? I mean, that's
you can 3D print it, and the benefit of that is it's just it fits loads of different. It fits the Nocta Acupoint, the MindLab ProFind. In there's the MI6 from XP, and it's just a great little thing, and it doesn't break. It's not fragile, and it's rubber 3D printed.
So where can we get one of those from?
I haven't got a bloody clue. I got it from some bloke in Germany. I haven't found one in the UK, but yeah,
Well,
that's
if some bloke in Germany is listening, or if somebody
I
knows
doubt
some
it.
bloke in Germany, we'd love to know where you can get them from. Anyway, should we say some highs? We've got Nick West is in, Stephen Brame is in.
Sorry,
Andrew
I'll stop
P
you
is
there.
in.
Sorry, I'll just stop you there
Yeah.
because Nick West, hello from the SS headquarters, sat on or northwestern France. What will we find? And I knew about this.
Wow.
So Nick is actually at the SS headquarters. He's got a lot of contacts abroad, and he could find Hitler's false teeth. Sorry, Donna.
Well,
I digress.
imagine finding an iron cross. I got offered one of those for sale once, and I didn't know what it was, and the guy was going to be really cheap, and I didn't buy it. But I'm interested in that kind of militaria. Well, I hope you have a great time, Nick, and please do report back to us when you get back and let us know what you found. Right, we've got down to Jim Panting. I was in briefly. Carl Ellis is in, and Christopher Graham. And who else is in? Nick Berry's in.
Berry.
Dominic Tom Zick. I think it's Tom Zick is in it.
Yeah.
Jeff Block is in. There's some more. You get more on Facebook. TC Detects is in. So Metal Detecting News, everyone. Derek Sherwin is in. Seems asked after Ange. Hope Anne's doing well. Gareth Howard is in. I wonder who's in Gareth's loft. And Selkirk Detectress, hi Selkirk Detectrists, and Dave Seymour's in. I'm doing well so far. Michael Jarvis is in. Hi Michael. Chris Langston. Hello Chris Langston. Nice to see you in the chat. Paul Tong's in. Jacqueline Walker's in. Hi Jacqueline. Hi Paul. David Evans in. At Will Wayne is in. James Barnes is in. My favourite James. Well, apart from the other favourite James. Hello James. And I'm down to the bottom of the list, but I know there are more people out there. And if you don't normally chat in the chat, there's always a first time, and everyone's very nice. We don't get any, I don't think we get any riffraff in the chat. Do you know that? We have a polite chat. So, news this week, I had a thing pop up yesterday. So first of all, shall we thank our guests last week, Fodder Phil and TC Detects. That was a great show. And then Gary came on to talk about the RCM. And I think they are close, if not sold out, to selling out. So if you don't have a ticket, then try and book yourself a ticket, although it probably will be raining by then. I had in my inbox, when I had a look at it today, Greenlight Publishing release. If no one has already got it, I have already got it, but it's The History of Roman Coinage in Britain is now available in hardback. So it was formerly in paperback. It's now available in hardback for $26.95. I've put down here that Dave's been out detecting a tramway, old school. And he was also helping his wife raise some funds for charity at a local event, and he had a little sand pit detecting with the kids, so he can tell us about that when he's back, hopefully next week.
That was good what he did there.
Really good. And he was also raving this week about the NCMD app, which you had something to do, Adrian. You had something to do with that.
So many years ago, funny enough, I was on the with Shane, who's part of the show, Shane Holcroft. I was on the NCMD judges panel this week for judging fines, which if you are an NCMD member, which most of us are, we join up and we just forget about it. There's a forum on there, which is predominantly for beginners, but if you're bored and you want to help someone out, go on there. And there's also the NCMD app, which you all get to use for free. And and I know for a fact, the beauty of the NCMD app is the data is not visible to anyone. So let's say you find a gold stater and you don't want anyone to know where that land is, you on your app, you can take a photo, upload it, put the coordinates, and soon, I think pretty much indefinite, very shortly, they're going to have Google Maps integrated in it. So at the moment, it's a static map whereas it will have a Google map very shortly. But you can store all your finds in there, so you can go to the farmer and say, on this day, this is where I went, and it shows where you were detecting, and it shows where you found stuff, and it shows a picture, and you can put notes in there how deep. And Dave hadn't used it. I told him about it many times, and he didn't use it. And he was absolutely raving about it. And it is a great little app. But also, the NCMD finds competition every month. A panel of judges, myself, Shane, a few others, we judge finds submitted from detectorists. So if you find something and you think, oh, that's interesting, or that's a beauty, upload it through the NCMD website, log in with your details, and you could win, I think it's 150 quid or 200 quid. And
that's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hi,
And
Graham, by the way.
there's first, second, and third, and I think you get a plaque and a certificate and something like that. But
you get a trophy, like a massive trophy.
No, there will be at the end of the year for the best find of the year. But 40,000 members the NCMD's got, and they probably get 100 submissions a month. So, and out of that, probably 50 or 60 don't take a picture of both sides of the coin, or they
right, yeah.
So if you find a nice hammered, I mean, there's one of the ones I voted for highly this month was a florin. So there's gold status, there's all kinds of coins, and for me, the photograph, the detail, and the quality of this florin was beautiful. So that got my vote. So it doesn't have to be really old; it could be quite modern and stuff like that. So
I think we forget that as well. We forget about, would you rather have a grotty old hammered, or would you rather have a really nice, crisp, more recent find? You say more recent find, 200 to 300 years old. We've got some new people joined us. Graham's joined us. Hi, Graham. Emma Watts. Did you see what TC put? He said the second half of the show was better last week. Of course it was. I've still got a couple more bits of news, and then I think we'll bring on our guests tonight. So we had, I was going to ask Dave how the White's factory auction went. Has it been held yet? Do we know?
Don't know.
No, okay. If anyone knows, let us know. Hoard of Roman coins found near Boughton, Norfolk in 2023, 13. They were Julio-Claudian era coins, and the court has adjourned until the end of the month to decide whether or not they're going to be actual treasure. 17th century gold posy ring declared treasure found at Dingley, with some local trading tokens hidden in a copper box. I don't know if you saw that, but it was quite rare because it actually had like a primitive screw thread on it. And I don't know, I was looking at that, and it wasn't a decorative thing. But I can't see what use it would have had. That was actually quite interesting. Republican hoard, I was interested in this. A Republican hoard, a silver denarius, the first one dated to 152 BC. Hoard of 13 coins found in, I think, Norfolk. The flow said about this that it suggests a stable economy because they were in use for so long. So the last dated coin was of Tiberius, AD 14 to 37. And Dr. Marsden said it was one of the more interesting hoards to come across his desk in the past year. The reason I was interested in it was because it was pretty much the same profile as my hoard. And mine was actually disclaimed. But I think that's really interesting because I am actually on the same watercourse, thus the same trading route as King's Lynn. And it makes you wonder if the Romans were actually coming into the Wash and earlier than Julius Caesar was actually here and trading. And that was the argument that I've always maintained with the British Museum, but they're not buying it. Everyone must have seen that beautiful crystal jar from the Viking Hoard that's due to go on show in Kirkcudbright in November. If you haven't seen it, look up crystal jar from Viking Hoard to go on show. It'll come up on BBC News. But Derek McLennan, he found this in 2014. It's thought to be one of the most significant finds of the century. So it was found in a bigger container this beautiful gold jar with like a crystal interior, and it was found with loads of other Viking treasure, which it looks like looted hoard, looted sort of bounty. But the actual jar had a Latin inscription, and the inscription was dedicated to Bishop Heigold had me made. And they don't know who that bishop was yet. They haven't been able to find out who that bishop was. But wow, if you find it, that is a stunning thing. And we don't seem to have a picture of it. Do you have a picture of it?
No.
I thought that'd be at the edge of your fingertips.
No.
And before we bring on the guests, apart from you finding two people playing with lightsabers that you can tell us about later. So the last thing I'm going to say is I did my PAS training on medieval iconographic finds just gone Tuesday. Folded coins. Now, the temptation to straighten your coin. There is apparently, and the British Museum are not clear on where the difference occurs, but a difference between an accidentally bent coin caught by the plough, stood on, something that might have been just played about with, to a deliberately folded coin. And apparently these are very high iconographic significance, and they were made as offerings by people to saints as they did the beating of the bounds. That is a tradition that they followed, and they still do in some parishes, to actually walk the parish boundary. So basically to confirm the parish boundary or to claim the parish boundary, time out of mind, so way back into history. And they did it at the beginning of the year, every year, and I think it's Rogation Tide they did it about. But these coins are apparently left as little prayers to saints along the route. I think that is so much BS, but apparently the whole folding of the coins is very well documented as a religious practice. And when I asked them how come, I was actually told there was a paper dating back to 1987, but apparently this paper claims various different contributors. Now, I am dead interested in this. I would really like to know what the original sources are. So if anyone has ever come across, and I'm basically saying, if you're not sure that your coin has been deliberately folded or not, then show it to your flow, because if it has been deliberately bent, pierced, or any way changed from being a coin, it is classed as treasure. It won't necessarily be taken off you, but it will be recorded. But it is classed as treasure. So you do need to make sure that it hasn't changed from a coin into an object. If it's folded for a religious purpose, it then becomes an object. So if it's rolled, Miss Ellie needs to know this, if it's rolled up tight, it then becomes an object. So although it seems insignificant, do not straighten your coins if you are unsure as to whether it's been bent deliberately. And for me, if anyone comes across a source about there being a customary bending of coins, Adrian, I'd love to know, because I don't believe that's a thing. But I'm excited to be proven wrong.
Well, that's where the term bender comes from.
And with that, we'll bring on tonight's guest.
No, before sorry to interrupt, just quickly, Andrew T.
Sorry, Steve.
Top man, Rust Kamerad 3D printing in Germany. Well done. Because that is where I got it from. It takes about a week or so to get through, but if you Google Rust Kamerad 3D printing, he does some amazing stuff. He does floating 3D printed stuff. He does metallic. Everything is a bit of a wizard. And more importantly, Nick Berry, hi Nick, he's asking what the NCMD trophy looks like. Very, very good point, because wouldn't it be lovely if they paid you to produce one? I might have to work with you. If you're up for that. Anyway, we bring our patient guests on tonight, Steve, Bob and Joe. It's actually Joe on the left, Steve, then Bob. So, hi guys, welcome to the Big Show.
Welcome to the show. Nice to meet you.
So we've got Joe on the left, Steve in the middle, and Joe on the end.
And they've got a guitar each by the look of it.
If it's the right way round, and 3 guitars on the wall.
Oh.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'll get you off the big screen. What have I done? Jesus. Sorry, it's because Dave's not here. So
I did warn you this would happen. Thank you for joining us, and Steve, huge congratulations on what was an epic find. Well, we'll take you back to the beginning of the story. So before we get to know you really properly, because stuff might slip out, and we'll tell the story first. But I read the newspaper report, and it said that you were inspired by the detectress or detectress. Is that true or false?
Absolutely true. Yeah, definitely.
So then, how long have you been detecting?
Before I found the Hoard, about 7 weeks.
No kidding.
No.
No. So I mean, obviously, we have to ask the question: what machine did you have?
It was a Simplex Plus.
Well,
right.
hey,
Okay. So
not
all of you who've just been out and bought a Manticore, you're screwed. But amazing, right? So, did you feel that you had got to grips with the machine in those 7 weeks, or were you just playing about, not really knowing what you were doing then?
I was still learning the machine, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I was quite proud of the fact that I dug my last horseshoe on week 1. I was quite proud of that, because there's plenty of those. And after 7 days, I found the first hammered, James the first shilling. So
flipping heck.
Yeah, that's a bit mind-blowing. Never forget your first Hoard. I mean, hammered.
Hey.
So that was brilliant finding that. I couldn't believe I found that in such a short time. And not much else came up on those fields. A few buckles, a few Georgian, the obvious buttons, and 1 crotal bell. But yeah, then it just went off the chart.
So, I mean, are you still detecting with the Simplex? I guess you're not.
You're right. I didn't know. Shortly after that, I decided to get myself the Legend.
Right.
Good machine.
Very good machine, but I just
it.
found what I did to find it wasn't as balanced as well as the Simplex. I had trouble getting the program that I was happy with, but I did decide not to go back to the Simplex now because I found the Deus 1.
Yeah.
And since having the Deus 1, I've never used any other machine.
No,
Yes.
I love my Deus. I like the Legend because I think it's a bit of fun. But I do love my Deus. I've got a Deus too, and I think it's amazing.
That's really interesting.
It is.
Because Steve, you've obviously had a bit of money since the Hoard's been sold, and you could have bought a Deus 2. What made you go for the Deus 1?
No, I've had the Deus 1 over a year now. Yeah, and I've stuck with that.
Yeah.
I've stuck with that.
Do you know what? I applaud you for that, because a lot of people who have come, and we won't say how much just yet, but a lot of people who have come into money would go and I'm going to get a Manticore, or I'm going to get a Deus 2 right now, regardless of what you got. I'll rush out and buy the thing that's the latest chat. You know, sticking with a machine is always the best.
The point I was going to get to was the type of Hoard it was. I still can't help thinking it was too tidy. It was strictly sixpences and shillings. Elizabeth, James, Charles I. So I'm thinking, where's the other odds and ends? Gold, possibly, pennies, anything else other than sixpences and shillings. I think it's got to be a second pot.
Right. So you step forward a bit then. So talk us through the process of that day. You wake up in the morning, you grab your Simplex Plus, and you go, right, I'm off. I'm assuming you belong to Joe and Joe belongs to you, but you say, Joe, I'm off detecting, and she says, good luck, buy some treasure, find us some treasure. Does she?
If I said that, I'd be in trouble with her husband, Bob.
All right. See, he says you can't make assumptions. I'm saying nothing. All right. I'm just saying, Bob, just keep an eye on him.
We like to share.
No, it's I set off. I've been going to the same farm, like I say, for 7 weeks or so, and set off to find the usual, buttons, and George. Everyone finds George, don't they? This particular morning, I was walking from the car. I got to walk down a track some distance, get to the first gate into the field one. I got 3 fields in a row, and walking down this track, 2 magpies flew across my path.
Oh,
yeah. So again, going back to the detectorist, that made me laugh because it's being chased by something, a rook, crow, whatever. And I thought that's a good omen. We all say that going to digs, and so that made me chuckle seeing that. And I don't even believe it myself, but it's a fact that actually happened. So I went through field 1, field 2. It's drizzling, pretty cold day, and then I went back to the 3rd field, going back to where I found the James shilling, which was the other side of a big tree, end of the field. I was making my way down the same way, hoping to find maybe a couple more under. We all look for old trees, etc., for whatever reason. I thought I'd go back to a similar spot, look around any more possible that's been dropped. So on the way there, I was digging up another, I think it was a buckle or something, and I was filling the hole again, stamping it all down. It's all pasture. And I stood up, and you probably all know the feeling. You stand up and you think, I'm going to change direction. You decide for some reason, and I can't explain why, but we tend to think, right, I'm going to go that way now.
Yeah.
So you go in that direction, and now I took a right to go towards that tree, as I said, but in a different route. Then I got the strangest signal ever. It was, the numbers were flying from 20s to 70s all over the place. And I looked above, and there was power cables. I thought, oh, that's what that is. Because like you said earlier, had I mastered the machine? Not by a long stretch. So I didn't know what was going on. So I thought it was the power cables. But I got to dig anyway, because you're supposed to dig everything, especially being that new to the game. So I dug one point of depth, nothing. The pointer found nothing. I thought, well, then that's the power cables. It's got to be. I'm 9 inches down. If I can't find a thing in that hole, it can't be anything there.
And how many people would have walked away from that? And I bet you did. Yeah.
I did. I filled it back in, stamped the clod down, and carried on going. Then I had the brainwave, well, if it's the power cables giving me that weird signal, it would be the same either side of the hole.
Yeah.
So I went back.
Clever boy.
I obviously saw where I dug, and it was going absolutely crazy. So I went to the left, went to the right of that, and there was absolutely nothing, because the Simplex is a pretty good machine, and those power cables didn't interrupt it at all.
Yeah.
Not in the slightest. So, okay, then so I go deeper, and the water was going into the hole, and I was swiping it with my hand. I saw these grey slots, and I sat back on my knees and thought, it can't be. It can't be coins. I was almost talking myself out of it being possible they could be coins. So swiping this water away, I grabbed a handful, lifted it out, and there's water dripping down my arm. I thought, what the hell is this? I don't know. I didn't know even these coins existed. We didn't know.
I think that is another thing as well. When you're new to it, you have got no idea what it is you found either. Like you've got no, you might have guessed, oh, they're hammered coins, but in a load of mud and slop, it's pretty hard.
I'll just share one of the. I've got some pictures here. I'll just share one of them. I don't know. Can you?
You'll get them all in the wrong order. I mean, that's a phenomenal amount of coins. So so you found this big lump of mud with stuff in it. So did you keep digging then?
Well, I managed to grab a handful of the coins and try and look at the bust to see if I could recognise anything. I didn't at that point. So I put the handful of coins into my bag. And then luckily I took a big bag with me. And then the next handful I dug up, it was, I recognised Elizabeth I. I thought, well, that's interesting. That's brilliant. So I kept going. 15 handfuls it took to clear the pot.
Yeah. I mean, have you got any regrets now about, I mean, I would assume that's been deposited in one go, but did you get a bit of a ticking off from the flag for kind of getting it all out, or how did that go down?
Yeah, I did actually. Made me laugh because she said to me, I should have said they, them, said to me, I should have parked my car over it and contacted her. Well, first of all, you have to walk 3/4 of a mile from the gate, which was locked. I had to climb over a fence. I can't undo the gate, so I couldn't get my car anywhere near it. Secondly, it's half an hour from my home. And thirdly, it took 8 phone calls to contact her. So
Yeah, 3 weeks later, I've got an emergency. Oh, I only work Tuesdays and Wednesdays or something, and it's like Sunday, that kind of thing. So, I mean, obviously, you know, sometimes we all know, you know, if you find like a Roman hoard or something like that, you do need to speak to your flow, because they do get a bit twitchy when they can't study it and it can't be lifted out in loads of plaster of Paris and kept intact. But I mean, as an archaeologist, I can understand that. You know, I can understand you want to know the sequence of it being put in, but this is a Civil War hoard, and it's quite different. It's a different sort of process, because obviously it's being put in the ground in one whole container for safekeeping. So what were their thoughts on the deposit then?
Well, I've learned all this ever since. Before I found that pot, I knew nothing about anything about the archaeologist aspect.
Yeah.
I was so new to it, literally so new. I had no clue what I'd found or the history of it. I've learned so much since. And the fact that they wanted to find out the order it was deposited, from my point of view as a layman, it is either collected from Oliver Cromwell's army, I would assume by the amount, or Charles I's army, thrown into a pot and buried. So the order, it makes no odds, does it? It's just. I
don't. I mean, this is it. In terms of it being a Civil War hoard, I think, you know, in wartime, people literally just and they've done it throughout history. All your valuables, chuck it somewhere safe. You know, if the house is going to be raided, or maybe you had a Tudor house there or something, and you've got your people living inside it. So, you know, there are a lot of these Civil hoards found around Tudor buildings, like older buildings, obviously Jacobean period, but hoards were buried as a safeguard, because if somebody else took over the country, they might take over you and your wealth. This is your safeguard. So, you know, there isn't going to be a stratification in the deposit, and I'm with you on that entirely. I mean, we just have to make aware as responsible detectorists. You know, if somebody comes across a massive Roman hoard, it's a different kettle of fish, really. Often, I say often, you know, if you find 50,000 coins in a massive, great big thing, you've got to do the right thing, else you will get in a lot.
You know, But
I think also,
I mean, I think, given the conditions, you did well to actually find it and recover it. I mean, I'm sure, as Adrian will confirm, that the water would have had something to do with you even picking up that signal to be sure, like with the simplex at that kind of depth. I mean, you've tested the simplex, haven't you, Adrian? What would you say?
To be honest, I'd say it's a highly underrated machine. When it first came out, I think I've said this before, not macro as they were then. They brought out machines which were okay, and you know, and then when I got the simplex, I was almost dreading it, to be honest, because at the time I was using a Nox 800 and a Deus 1, and I thought, oh, here we go. And I remember the first thing I did with it after detecting was I threw it in a lake for an hour, because they said it was totally waterproof, and I thought, yeah, right. And then after it was in there for about half hour, I saw some bubbles. I thought, oh God. I thought, if I'm field testing this for the next 3 months, if this is buggered up, I've got to go back to not. I just thought, and I pulled it out after an hour, turned it on, it was fine. And I found loads of stuff with that. And I think the only thing I didn't like about the old simplex, is the tones. The triple score they've brought out now is pretty much the same as the legend, but without loads of features. So you're saying, Steve, about stability and easy use and stuff. The triple score, I don't like the name, I don't like the logos and all that, but that's as powerful as the legend, but a lot easier to use. But yeah, I mean, it makes me wonder, like, you know, if you'd have gone over that with your Deus 1, your legend, you would have found it. They might have pinged back different tones and stuff, but you would have found it. But more importantly, why is Bob and Joe there? What the hell's Bob got? Is Bob Is Bob and Joe the ones responsible for dragging you into this awful hobby?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. I've known Bob since 2000, and he used to show me the finds. He used to be a customer of ours at a joinery company I used to work for, and he kind of got me interested in detecting in 2000. But my first daughter was born just before then, and that sort of money. I wasn't going to go out with a £40 detector. I needed to have a decent machine to make it worth my while. It wasn't going to happen then. Then later on in life, it became more interesting after watching the Detectorists. And I got a few pounds to. I wanted to buy a detector that was worth going out with, and Bob said that some pretty decent things have been found with the Simplex. So after YouTubing a few different models and getting the prices, I thought, well, that's a good price for a decently rated machine. So it was an eBay special, £340, and off I went, basically.
Yeah, I think you can't go wrong. And I mean, what are you using at the moment, Bob?
I've got a Dallas 2.
Yeah, and you just people who don't know Bob's been and Joe have been watching the show for how long? It's got to be 3-4 years.
More than that. We even watched it when we was in Australia.
That's
Isn't
right.
that
Yeah,
like being in a torture chamber? No.
No, it is like that. Bob won a book off us about 4 years ago. No,
Yeah.
4 years
That's a long
ago.
time
So,
ago.
yeah, it was.
I haven't read it yet.
No, but
I tell you what, that was that the finds identified.
yeah,
Finds
Finds
identified
identified.
too.
Yeah.
it was about 3 years ago, I think.
See, books. I'll tell you what's interesting. I mean, some people don't like books. Having books, you can look anything up on the internet. Just flicking through a book. Do it once a week. Every week, stuff goes in, and it helps you recognise things more and more and more. People who are beginners.
And like Paul said, you put something on social media, and someone will say it's this, someone will say it's that. A book goes through many stringent processes before it's published, because if it's wrong, you're in trouble. So yeah, you can rely on a book, and it's also, I think it's becoming a bit trendy at the moment. How Gareth Howard in the chat used to get a lot of magazines in the 80s and 90s and put them in his loft so his mum didn't find them. I think books are coming back as like, where is it? This thing here. Put it down, turn it off, and open a book, and lose yourself.
We're all being taught about mindfulness and relaxing, but I've got to go back in the chat just a bit because we've had loads of interesting comments and questions so far.
I've got one question, just quickly, before you ask. Steve, do not to know you found this Hoard repair machine.
Yes, Dilek. I approached Dilek at Detectable last year. Yeah.
Did you have anything?
Zip. She gave me a cap. So I was wearing a Mind Lab cap with Detectable 24 written on it, and she took it off me and gave me a Nocta cap. So you can't be wearing that. You're finding a Hoard with my machine.
And that was it.
I was giving it to Marshall, so I'm wearing it. She gave me a cap.
Would you? I know Dilek quite well. Would you be happy if I just pop her a little message, because this is quite a significant find for one of their low-end machines? And
exactly what I was thinking. Yeah,
I would be, especially the photographs you got. I would be all over it, and they'd love it, because it just goes to show you don't have to have a 1,000-1,500 quid machine, and this is a prime example. 7 weeks metal detecting with a low to mid-range machine, you found a fantastic Hoard, and it is a prime example of, I hate this saying, but I say it all the time, you've got to walk over it, and you've got to have the passion to dig. So Dilek, was it Detectable, the first one run by LP, not last year, the year before?
No, it was 24 last year.
Last year, the one where the ground was really hard, and they had a roulette.
I think they've done it for the last 2 years, haven't they?
It's where Brian Murphy found all those 18 gold coins.
Oh, that's right.
That
right
was
at the end
last
of the
year,
day.
2024.
Yeah, 2024. Yeah. 24. I forget what bloody year it is. Yeah, I might have a word with her because she's, to be honest, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people at rallies.
They were under a lot of pressure. They were very busy at Last Detector. Every time I looked across, they were busy with themselves or busy doing something. So, right, going back in the chat. I mean, I think that's a great idea, and hopefully, at least you'll get a wow. But you should really have your photo all over their website. Andrew T, we're going to go back to the coins for a start off, the rolled coins. Andrew T said Miss Ellie found a rolled Spanish real 2 weeks ago, likely bought from a Spain and a shipwrecked sailor. I suggest that might be a hair bead. And Stephen said that's quite interesting. Christopher Graham said, could rolled and folded or pierced coins be love tokens, a good luck charm, jewelry, etc.? Sorry, hold that up.
That's Miss Ellie.
Yeah, it's Ellie, Miss Detectorist. So anyone wants to follow decent YouTube channel, she's one of the best. Along with there's a lot of other ones. Chris Langston, I haven't watched any of your videos for a while, darling. I must have a look.
I like
you making some good stuff because I miss you. Chris Langston gives one of the best hugs. So you guys fancy a hug, Joe? Go and see Chris. So, Christopher Graham has actually asked whether or not the rolled or folded coins can be love tokens, a good luck charm, jewelry. So, imagine, sing a song of sixpence, all of that. Not that one. That's baked in a pie. The other one is the man who finds a sixpence by a gate, a crooked sixpence, a little man who walked a crooked mile. That, bent like that, is a love token. And the idea is you get two coins, you put them together, you bend them, and the heart necklaces that little girls had, back in the 90s, where you had half a heart and half a heart, and you joined them together and you were bezies, or the girlfriend got one for a boyfriend. You both wore half a heart and you joined them together and, your girlfriend and boyfriend. Well, in the same way, a rubbed sixpence makes it very thin and easy to bend, and your two coins would fit identically together in that bent pattern, whatever you bend. The rolled coins, I don't know. I don't know if they were made for jewelry, if they were hair charms. I found bits of Roman bangle actually twisted up to make into hair charms. Pierced coins were generally used for amulets. Now, if you're talking about rolled coins being used for amulets, they would generally be rubbed. And a lot of these folded coins and rolled coins are not smooth. They're actually quite crisp. So, it's an interesting question, Graham. And I think, Christopher, I think their jury is still out on it. Stephen Braham says he's had loads of love tokens. What are we doing? What are the composition of the folded coins? Who's asked that? The folded coins are. Why doesn't this work? That's the numismatist. Yeah, they're silver. And I've lost my place now. Hi, Lee Perrin. You haven't been in for a while. And then there were some questions for you. Oh, hi, Tim Howard as well. I've lost my place.
Just quick.
That sounds amazing. He said, "Do I? No, I don't." Something about the one on Temu. That's funny. Right. Okay, we're getting back again. So, Chris Langston said, "Did anyone know what detector the Viking find was on the Isle of Man? The recent Viking find."
Garrett Vortex.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. No, I just said that because I know Chris would be getting excited.
So you've got right, Stephen, then what a wow, what a fantastic find. And then talking about, how you recovered the find, James Eagle Eye DJ says, imagine finding a gold Celtic hoard and taking the float ages to come out. Yeah, and what do you do?
I'll tell you what you do. Steve, you an NCMD member?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Did you know the NCMD have a hotline to phone for Hoards?
I do now.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know that. So let's say I go out on my Todd tomorrow on my own with the dog. I normally take the dog with me. And I find a Hoard. I would tell the landowner first, and I would leave it in situ, and I would phone the NCMD hotline. So it's an 0800 number or something like that. It's not swap shop or anything.
Was that available 2 years ago?
Sorry?
Was that available 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's been going. It was never publicised properly. I think they only ever used to put it in their newsletter, which not everyone gets because some people prefer to get it digitally. And to be honest, you don't read the bits like that because you think I'm not going to find a Hoard. So it's a phone number. You phone it up. I think it's not 24 hours a day, but it's pretty much something like that. And you just say, I found a Hoard, what do I do? They will liaise directly with your local flow. They've got very good links, as you can imagine, with people, and they would advise you what to do, and they would sort it all out for you. And I think, don't hold me to this, they would even ensure it was kept safe, which leads me on to another thing. Steve, don't tell us the bloody coordinates or anything, but where roughly did you find this Hoard?
Buckinghamshire, Oxfordshire border.
And is that a permission that was new to you?
Well,
it was 7 weeks in. Yeah. Come on,
it's fairly new.
It wasn't.
Atwill Wayne has actually said. So I presume you're happy with the hobby then.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the hobby, but I need to know what machine to get next to go back to the second pot. I'm sure there's a second pot. But
you did message me, didn't you?
Yeah. We haven't got to that bit yet. I haven't got to that bit yet. I was just going through the chat before it got totally out of control because the next thing will happen. We'll have Adrian's wool, and then it will all go to chaos. Gareth's mags are well thumbed. Steve, Bob, and Joe. Lee Perrin says hi, Steve, Bob, and Joe. And see you Sunday, he says. Yeah. And Holly Hickman says, so proud of you, Dad.
Oh, love your holes.
That's so nice.
She should be.
Jim Panting says books are returning like vinyl LPs. They never left me, Jim. I'm just saying that now. So Silcoat Detective said, pop Dillick a message from us too. We found a gold and silver medieval coin hoard with the legend and got a zip from Nocta. So, yeah. And TB Detect says, more Hoard picks, please. And we all know what they're for, Tony Kaywood. That's okay, Christopher Graham. Dave Moore says near Aylesbury, hence it's called the Aylesbury Hoard. That's a bit of a no-brainer. So Kevin Allen said, I had a Simplex Plus and now use Simplex Ultra. Great machines, found some nice items. And I do think me and Adrian say this a lot, but sometimes it is the simplicity of the machine because it's either a yes or a no. You don't have a lot of decisions to make. It's a yes decision or a no decision. And the no decision is obvious, and anything else you should just be digging anyway.
Well, it's when the Simplex came out, we were mocking the name a little bit because it's like simple for simple people. And then when I got it, I was like, flipping it. My mate was using a AT Pro at the time.
Have you seen Chris's message?
Christopher who?
Chris Langston. I wonder if there's room for a 24-hour sympathy line for no fines.
Phone the Samaritans. But yeah, and when that Simplex came out, I think my mate had a Garrett AT Pro, and he was like, it was quite a innovative design when it came out, the Simplex. And I remember I was getting a Target. And I was saying, run yours over it, mate. And he's going, yeah, I've got that. So, and I was thinking, flipping heck. And yeah, I've actually, so I I've got a lot of detectors, and I never sell them. I always lend them out to people. So today I was lending coils and pinpointers and things, and it's not until you try these things out, but it's really hard. And this is another thing. The distributors, Regton, LP, Spinner Disc, if you go into a shop and hold a machine and use it, I think that really helps. And the problem is with this hobby now, we all rely on YouTube, Facebook comments and everything. And people buy a machine off the back of that. And that's a bit of a mess.
You can't buy a machine off the back of gossip, because if we evaluate gossip, there's 50-50 for and against everything. Just one comment here from Christopher Graham, and he basically asked for people outside of the UK. How does securing find? So if you find a hoard, how do our rules call out the responsibility for securing the area? If you're at a rally, Christopher, then you would call it into the actual rally team. They would come out, they would secure the area so you could carry on detecting. They'd also call in somebody appropriate to actually have a look, and you'd be basically working with them to recover the hoard. If you are on your own in a field, you are supposed to report it, but you're very much, I'm in a dilemma. My hoard is a scatter. I've found it over a number of years. And it's being hawked, and I know it is. If I found that, it's coming out of the ground. I'm not going to sit there and wait for them to turn up. So I'd have to hold my hand up to that. But I think, we are in a tricky situation. Yes, we all want to do the right thing, but when you can't get your flow to come out, that makes it really, really difficult. So NCMD hotline, why not just plumb that into your phone tonight? Basically, hotline number, plumb it into your phone tonight. It's there, and then you'll put it in your phone and never ever find a hoard. So we're nearly time, Adrian, and we've got
Sorry,
I'll just ask Steve afterwards.
I'll just put this up because someone hopefully might find a hoard tonight.
I'm finding one this year, definitely. Another one.
Finds, they call it Finds Excavation Hotline for reporting historical items.
Chris said you need lucky feet to find a hoard.
Yes. Going back to finding a hoard and that question, that was a really good question raised by Christopher. Peaky Finders, my mate Luke, they found a hoard of Iron Age. Was it ingots? They found bronze ingots, and they found about it was loads. I think it's about 30 or 40 of them. And they contacted the Flow. I think it was a Saturday, and the Flow said, "Oh, we can't come till Monday." So they stayed Saturday night and Sunday night in a field in a tent, and they got the farmer to bring a huge concrete block and just lay it over the top of the hole so no one could do it. And they stayed there for 48 hours doing like a night shift, making sure no one came. But not that people knew about it. But you're right. It's a really good question because it's a massive, potentially, whatever hoard, of historical significance. And you could find it, go home, and then go back the next day and someone was watching you or whatever, and they've taken it all.
But also, you do not run the risk now of, if you don't report it responsibly as soon as you found it, if you don't deal with it responsibly, you might actually lose a percentage of your anything that you may be able to claim. We are going to go over in a second to Adrian's wall because we do have one tonight. Do we have a prize though?
Well, it's not a big one.
Haven't you got a big one, darling? An hat?
But it's a treasure hunting hat. If anyone
I haven't got one of those. Why haven't I got one of those?
Because if you're going to any rallies this year, there's going to be lots of treasure hunting goodies we're giving away. Just quickly, Steve, what did your landowner say when you knocked at his door and said, I think I found something?
I actually phoned him up and I says, "Are you sitting down?"
Sorry, it's not 9 o'clock yet, so you can't say that until afterwards because I bet I know what your landlord said. No?
Well, I said to him, "Why are you sitting down?" He said, "My God, what have you done?" He thought I'd broken a leg over his gate or something. I said, "I found some coins." "Oh, that's interesting. What sort of coins?" I said, "Shiny ones, silver ones." He said, "Right." And I said, "I'd WhatsApp you exactly what they are." And he said, "Good God." He said, "How many?" I said, "Quite a few." I said, "I don't know, actually, just yet, but it's hundreds." So I sent him pictures of the monarchs, and he did his own research, and he come back to me that evening and said that I'd underestimated the value by quite a lot. So I didn't have a clue, did I? I would have no idea the value of any of the coins. I mean, one of them went for £1,800, for goodness sake. There's no way you could know that.
No. I mean, you are looking. We're going to look at your pictures after Adrian's will, but I mean, and we haven't really done the reveal yet. But I mean, you are looking at a substantial amount of good condition historic coins that people would want to buy. That's well done. And Adrian, you've got to press the button. We'll see you in a minute.
Oh, no, keep talking.
We will. We will. Right, okay. So, all right, listen. Honestly, I knew you'd do that. Don't give it away because you're on the wrong screen. Do not give it away. You're on the wrong screen. Go big. It's close. We have got loads of numbers in, and we are starting with. You need the wall up because the numbers aren't up yet.
So this is for a hat. And
we are starting with. I've got to get my mouse up here. We are going to start with Jim Panting and Lee Perrin, both saying number 15, and then John Clayton number 20. David Seymour, number 12. And Dark Knight Detectress, Jason says, "Damn, it's Thursday already." Hiya, Jason, we're playing Adrian's Wall. Carl Ellis says 18. Derek Sherwin says 12. Stephen Brame says 11. It looks like a pair of legs. Gary Sussex Detecting says 32. D. McAvady chess piece, unfortunately not. Dark Knight said JC. That's not what it is. Dave Moore says a goblet. No. A knife says John Clayton. 22 says Jacqueline Walker. A candle holder said D. McAvady. Nope. 14 says Selkirk Detectress. It's not a button. No. Wayne Maddox says 19. Arrowhead says TC Detects. No. Nick Berry pipe tamper. Keith Ellis pipe. Eagle-eyed AJ knife. Jacqueline Walker hearing trumpet. No, it's a good one, Jacqueline Walker, but no. Derek Sherwin mirror. 28 says D. McAvady. Pipe tamper says Paul Tongue. Ashes urn. No. Chris Langston 23. Kevin Allen 9. Martin Seymour 27. D. McAvady says spoon. Eagle DJ medical tool. No. Gareth Howard ear cleaner. TC top off a fence. Oliver Scraper says Jim. No. Oh, stop. Nick Berry's got it.
Oh, bloody hell. Sorry for swearing. It doesn't
Nick
quite
Berry
fit.
has got it.
Even now, I can't see what it is.
I know. Stephen Brame, you were so close, but Nick got there first. John Clayton put it in. Dean put it in. Everybody put it in. Stephen put it in. He put it in several times, but yeah, Nick got it. It's a hawking whistle. It's a whistle rather, and it doesn't say hawking whistle. It just says a whistle. I've got a problem with that, as you knew I might have. I'm just saying.
It's hard to get a scale, isn't it? But I still haven't got whistle. Not from that.
I wouldn't have got whistle for that. There's so many bits so that they declare to be something I'm not convinced about.
Nick, you've won a treasure hunting hat. If you're really kind and don't want it posted straight away, I will give you another gift with it when I meet you at a rally this year, if that's okay. A better gift than a hat. And you already had a nice gift, so this will be another nice one, Nick. So well done.
If you're not sending that one to Nick, you could send that one to me and give Nick a different one because
it's annoying because it's green, but I could wear
mine. I could actually wear mine for when I have to put the light on and I get a reflection. That's why I
So-
wear a hat, everybody, by the way, normally. It's not because I'm bald, it's because the light reflects off my sunglasses.
They're really good hats, and I'll tell you why. My favourite detecting hats are mesh back because you don't get hot in them. And
Yeah,
they
but the gnats can bite you through that, though. Bad design.
No, they don't have gnats. And what was I going to say? So, Nick, if that's like, yeah, thanks, mate. RCM, I'll give you that and a few other bits. Which one? He'll swap me a gift at the RCM. Thanks.
You're
Actually,
spoiling him.
Nick, I've got something you made quite a few years ago that you've probably forgotten about, which I'll bring and do with you. So I look forward to meeting Nick. There's so many people in the hobby. Do you find this, Steve? Joining, like, have you been to any rallies, Steve?
Yeah, I did Detectable twice.
Yeah. Do you find like you meet so many nice people, and I sometimes wish, oh God, you go down the pub with your mates or whatever. It's like Joe, he's a lovely bloke, isn't he? Joe's and Bob, sorry, Joe isn't a bloke. Bob and his wife are a lovely couple.
Yeah.
And you meet people like that, you think, wouldn't it be lovely to go down the pub and chat with them? And when you go to a rally, you meet people, and we all got the same interests, we all got the same like qualms and things, and it's so nice. And I love rallies, I really do. Not so much for detecting, but for just meeting nice people in the hobby. It is lovely. It really is.
I spent most of it talking.
What was
I'm
that?
determined to actually find something of consequence at a rally this year. I don't care what it is. It could be something simple, like a whole thimble, or it could be not a squashed one, but something whole, something of consequence. That's actually a thing rather than a button, or just I found a few things last year actually, but nothing mega condition wise. I want it to be nice. So I was going to ask a question. Now, the original valuation was quite high, Steve.
Yeah, quite high.
Yeah. So what happened? Were you a bit sort of disappointed when you didn't make the original kind of estimate, or?
Well, people come up with all kinds of figures, to be honest, and you can't guess when you see one coin going for £1,800.
Yeah.
Another's going for 150. So I set myself an average of £100 a coin in my mind.
So you cracked it, yeah.
But the outcome was you were about to say, weren't you, what the total came out at?
I was going to let you tell us, but it's a phenomenal total.
63,000.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of money, isn't it?
That is a lot. That isn't.
No tax on it. No tax on it. It's all cash from.
Clearly, you have to give half to the landowner, so that's always nice. So no tax on that.
But your landowner must be delighted, and it's a message to other landowners out there. It can actually not just the finding things and the benefiting financially if we do find something nice as individual detectorists, but we're out there policing your field. We're out there digging up the crap off your field, finding bits off your tractor that you've lost. Like we're your eyes and ears of the field. So, I know a couple of commissions.
Makes me remember the night of the auction. When the auction finished, I took the landowner out for dinner. And I shook his hand and said, I'm going to treat you to dinner tonight and your partner to thank you for the permission. And he looked at me disbelief. He says, you're thanking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did it.
That must be a lovely relationship to have, Adrian.
I had a nice find a few years ago. And again, I was like, who do I auction it with? And I did a bit of research and I auctioned it with a company, and they promised me all this global coverage and everything. And I thought, and then the farmer said, how much do you reckon it's going to go for? Because he wanted to sell it, and I couldn't afford to buy it back off him. And I said, about £4,000 or £5,000. And he said, oh yeah, that's really good. And he said, have I got to pay tax on it? I said, no, you don't pay tax on treasure, which is lovely. And I never forget, the night before, I sent him a link to the auction, and we sat there. I was at work secretly on my screen, had it in the corner, pretending I was working, and it went to auction, and it started off like £1,000, and then 1,500, and I was like, oh my God, I told him it's going to be about £4,000. Do you know what I mean? I was like, what if it isn't? And then it went up to 3, 4, and he WhatsApped me. He very rarely WhatsApps me. He says, this is looking good, Adrian. Then it went to 5, then it went to 6, then it went to 7, then it went to 8. And in the end, it went to 10,500. It was a ring. And I can remember just like, oh my God. And I was at work and I wanted to jump up and down, but I couldn't because people would say, why are you jumping up and down? And I WhatsApped him and I said, Sunday we'll go out for dinner. And he went, yeah. So he took his wife. I went with my wife. We went to a little pub near him in Essex, out in the sticks. And I bought him dinner and he said, are you sure? And I bought him a drink. He said, yeah. And he said, why are you thanking? He was the same as what you said, Steve. Yeah. Why are you thanking me? And now, whereas before I used to WhatsApp him and said, is it all right if I come over Sunday and go in field 1 or field 2 with my mate James? He's like, he messages us and says, when are you coming over? You know,
you should say that.
I get that.
It's funny you should say that because he's saying, when are you going to come over to find this? What you say could be the second pot. So I still maintain that it was too tidy. And I said to him, and you won't believe this, over the meal, I said to him, why don't you get a JCB and scrape back a foot deep and do the area with a JCB? Gently, of course. And he said, because I want you to find it. No, that's pretty. Oh no. And
I think that's do you know what? I think that is the nicest thing. And I wouldn't underestimate that either. Because getting that signal and kind of knowing what it is. But I mean, you're looking for a really, really deep target. Now, I'm going to ask you what it was like. Did you actually go to the auction?
No, I watched it live.
Okay, I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. But if anyone else is out there and they are actually looking for, you know, something that they know is going to be there, they would expect to be there, and you're just having a really hard look, the best thing to do is to, I mean, you're going to have a GPS where you found that, right? Yeah. So you know where the hoard is. So if you have that hoard slap bang in the middle, and then around it you do a 30-foot grid. Use builder's twine, do a rough square 30-foot grid. And if it takes you an hour to do that, you're going too fast. Go back and back and back and back. I mean, you can do up and down and diagonally, whichever way. You are listening, and especially on the dais, you are listening for the slightest crack. You won't even get, at that depth, you'll barely get signal. You are listening for, I mean, my XP Gold Max is what found me my first Hoard coin. And that literally was a static crack. It didn't even make a noise. And then it was enough to make me think, I haven't heard that before. I've not heard that signal before. This is odd. Step back over it. And then I could hear this tiniest little, and you would never have paid attention to that. If you were ploughing on across the grass, sweeping away, you wouldn't have even heard it. But because you're going really slowly, you're doubling over your lines. So if you're missing it the first time, you're going back over it the second time, and just do a tight grid. It brings the ground to life for a start off, but also it'll pick up any scatters you had from the original hoard. I mean, you said you found another shilling there before.
That was a long, long way away from that. It was a
but it could be you've got that hoard, another one across the other side of the field. You don't know what was there way back in time. You don't know what was on that field. You know, or you might do. And if you do know that, then it's actually worth plotting that out on the field.
Have you heard of anybody finding a hoard buried below a hoard?
Yes.
Interesting, because landowner said that to me at this meal. He said, have you heard that people did bury pots on top of other pots? And I thought, this is news to me and very interesting. That's the thing. I didn't realise. I had no idea.
Right. Tony Kaywood's just said, I need to grab a beer. Donna will still be talking by the time I get back, right? Yes, Tony, I am. But yes, there's a couple of occasions where Roman hoards have been found buried one on top of the other, and I think there was also a Civil War hoard. Actually, there was a Civil War hoard found in Soham, and the coins were found underneath some other stuff that was buried on the top. Relevant.
As Adrian knows, I emailed Adrian some weeks ago. The problem I've got is, I mean, the Deus is my right arm, and I won't ever part with my Deus. And I haven't parted with the Simplex, interestingly. I can't part with that either. But the Deus isn't the best machine on pasture. It's ridge and furrow field. It's been, I don't think it's ever been ploughed in, probably.
I use mine, but it depends what settings you've got it on. I've got mine, I literally just use mine on general settings. I turn the sensitivity down and reactivity up.
The difference is, I'm thinking, I've got, like you say, the incredible friends you get detecting. 3 people offered me the use of a Deus 2, and someone's offered me the use, 2 people offered me the use of a Manticore. Now, am I making the mistake borrowing 2 alien machines because they're notoriously better than the Deus one on pasture, or stick with what I know?
I think probably do it with your own machine, and Adrian will advise on this better than me. But I would, if it was me, I'd grid it with my own machine, because you know what your own machine sounds like. And then you will know that you've gotten rid of any crap, anything you're likely to find anyway. You've got years on here. It's not going to go anywhere. Really? And Adrian, then which machine would you recommend if he was going to change it up? I mean, you should find it with the Deus one. But it depends. Conditions. Go out in the wet.
To be honest, the Deus one is 13, 14 years old this year. So it's had software updates. I emailed Steve about this, and I stick with what I said to him on the email, which I don't condone I don't promote any machines, but stick with what you know. That's what I say. If you've had a Garrett Ace 150, you've gone to an AT Pro, and you've got an AT Max, and you've gone to Vortex, just the quirks and why do you? I like a machine for the tones, and then it's the ergonomics, and then it rolls right down to the ease of software updates, how often you get software updates, how good's a pinpointer.
But you don't want to be. I mean, if you're a Deus person, you don't want to be taking out something like a Manticore. You don't understand how it works. I mean, I've got an Equinox 800. It's completely different to the XPs I've used, and that's a big learning curve in itself without actually taking it out and trying to find a Hoard with it. But on the other hand, the Nux is really good on grass, but then I don't think I miss out with my Deus 2. So I'd be stick with what you know.
If you got a lot of iron in the ground near you,
not a lot of anything. That's the frustrating thing. I mean, I've been reluctant to go. I mean, this might sound a bit crazy to most people. I've had the permission 2 years, and after the Hoard, I've been back probably 4 times.
Yeah, but I would have been all over that. My Hoard, I must do that at least 40 hours either side of the year. So before harvest, after harvest, before harvest, after harvest. Chris Langston has said definitely use different machines over the spot if you can, which if you've got, I mean, if people are willing to loan you stuff, it's a case of why not. But obviously you don't want to be taking a load of people to site and it getting out there. What are you using?
No one's allowed on there apart from myself. No one's allowed on there strictly. It's just me.
What are you using, Bob?
I've got a Deus 2, and Joe's got a Deus 2 as well.
So, I mean, they could give you lessons on the Deus 2, and then you could toddle along there, Steve, with your Deus 2.
It's crossed my mind, but
yeah. I mean, I've been up to my armpit with my Deus 2.
Do you know what I do?
Got very short arms.
I will speak to Dilek and see if you feel there's more on that land. the Nocta Invenio Pro, which is a new machine. The Invenio they brought out about 5 years ago, and it's got a laptop. You plug it in, it shows all that. But they've got an Invenio Pro with AI, and as you're detecting, you've got a mini. It's like an iPad next to you, and it's on a harness thing, and that will show you the ground down to about 2 foot plus of. And it creates an AI image of what is below the ground. I think I might get Dilek on the show, because I think if Nocta sent you
about it last week.
Yeah, we were talking about it last week, and I think if Nocta sent you an Invenio Pro, it's not the sort of machine you detect with like at a rally, but to research the ground, it would be really good. It's like LiDAR. Deep LiDAR. So I think it's about $2,500 or $3,000. But I'm sure.
Go back to what we were saying, though. You've either got to be techie or you're not techie, and if you're not techie, it might be a bit of a learning curve.
No, I think this. If you've got an iPhone or an Android phone and an email account, you should be able to use any modern day detector. If you've got an iPhone setting up an email account and you can do that, you can use any machine out there. And if you can't, go fishing.
Stephen Brain makes a good point. He says, I'm still on a £300 machine and getting great fines. No point in changing for me. And Derek Sherwin reminded him, and you found gold with it, Stephen. And the Dark Knight Detectorist said, he's been up to his armpit with a Simplex Plus, but it depends on the size of the target. And that is the thing. If you're not finding so many coins, but they're all gold, are you still going to hear it, that depth?
Oh, Christopher Graham. Hi, Christopher. He's lovely guy. He's come up with some really good comments tonight. Find someone with a GPR unit to look. So we know someone. James Barnes.
We know someone who is ultra discreet.
And he won't charge you. And James Barnes, he's got a contraption, I call it, and he can go over the ground and scan it down to about 4 foot, and it Donna 5 foot or something ridiculous.
It's about 2. No, it's not that deep. It's not 4 foot. James was in that earlier, but he'd probably disagree with me. I think it's about 3 foot.
Yeah. So. The Deus Extreme. Yeah, I had one of those. But I think Nocta is a good shout. The Amphibio Pro.
Considering you found it with the Simplex Plus. So we have got 7 minutes, and what I want to ask you is, the day of the auction comes, how nervous are you?
I wasn't nervous at all.
Was he nervous, Bob? Bob, how many times did he phone you up?
No, he did message me a few times, but he used to do that a lot anyway.
Yeah.
Before he found it, every night send me pictures. Watch this.
What did he send you pictures of?
Come and look. So we do.
What's that, Adrian?
Bob? What did he send you pictures of?
George III.
Yeah, George III. He thought it was a Roman.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. So I thought
proper pictures.
Oh, right. I thought it was other pictures.
Yeah.
Bob and Joe, are you going to any rallies this year?
Yeah, we'll be at Detectival because I marshal up there and Joe sells raffle tickets and stuff like that.
That's right. Yeah. So I recognise Joe now. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll be there September, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope so. Yeah, that's what it is.
So has Steve given you a few quid for getting him into the hobby?
I think he bought me a coffee once.
Yeah, but you see, if you'd think he was being flash if he bought around every time he went to the pub.
No, I wouldn't ask him for anything. It was nice to be there when he first found it. We went down and saw it.
Yeah,
one of the first people to see it, and
I do think
quite a sight, really.
If you're proper friends, you're always going to be just chuffed, made up for that one person, especially because you brought him into the hobby. You'd be secretly a bit, bloody hell. 7 weeks detecting, and there you go. But I mean, on the other hand, you know, is your mate. Eagle Eye DJ, we were talking about excitement, and Eagle Eye DJ just said, just thinking, Adrian, have you got that footage near Weatherfield where I put that chocolate coin in the ground and you were shaking with excitement, filming it, thinking it was a real gold coin?
Well, you did that.
What a mean thing to do. And he's your best friend.
It's what? Sorry, did I miss something?
He probably is. He probably is. He's the only one I can get away with abusing.
Anyway, Steve, the day comes. You go to. Did you watch the auction live? You said.
Yeah, but during that there was a soft start the middle of the week before. In other words, you can go onto the Essex Coin Auction site and you could actually put bids on it before the auction day, which was news to me. So I went on the site and you just literally scroll through all the coins and see what bids were on it. There's quite a few with the £50 bid, £100 bid. I thought, oh, that's okay. That's a slow start. Then on the day, you said, was I nervous? No, I wasn't nervous. I was kind of excited because it's probably the biggest event in my life financially, really. That's something that I'd found, and it's now going to be reality of the value of it. Okay. So when Adam got onto the stand and was saying, right, we have an opening bid here, £50. I've got bid on commission, £200. I was going, what? So really, what on earth? And it was the day with the hours of the auction, about 2.25 hours, was that. It was excitement and.
So did they auction off all the? How many coins were there in total?
1,064.
And did they all? It's a lot of coins.
Every
so
coin.
I'm assuming you didn't find them all in one go. I'm assuming it took you several days.
Find them in several days. They found them in they're all in one pot.
So you just dug the pot up. They were in the pot, and right, okay. Yeah. So, in terms of how they auctioned them, I mean, the condition. Look at that; it's absolutely stunning, like beautifully crisp. Did they auction them off like in ones and twos or little groups or?
There's a fair few. The better ones were cleaned up and get the best possible toning on them. And most of them were done in that way, singly, but there were quite a few lots of groups because not only were some of them fantastic, equally because silverwares, and there was a fair few that were quite worn. So they were getting into groups and sold.
So they've definitely been in circulation.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was probably wages or something like that had been sort of just put in safekeeping. But
Dark Knight Detectorist, hi mate. If you watch the show from the beginning, you'll find out what the signal sounded like. We raised that at the beginning of the show. So you're
making him watch it all over again, aren't you?
Yeah.
Jason, sorry.
I've got a bit of flicker on my screen there. Steve, Bob, and especially Joe, thank you for joining us tonight. It's been so nice. And I think your hoard is, how can I put it? I said before that we came on air, for me, everyone finds a gold hoard or gold. And it's.
Have you found a gold hoard?
No. And I wouldn't want to find one really because of all the hassle. Something nice.
Have you found a hoard?
No. Well, I've helped unearth a hoard, which is interesting. It was actually Britain's largest gold Celtic coin hoard, but that's another thing. But for me, I just want to go out there and find whether it's a nice buckle or a couple of nice coins or something. That's what it's about. But I think your hoard is really, I don't know. Silver seems to be devalued in the hobby unless you're American with their silver dimes and stuff. But those coins, it just looks lovely. And I think if I found that, I'd be more than happy. I ignore the money side.
So those coins, I mean, they're deposited in the time of the English Civil War. They are just beautiful things. Finding a shilling. I've never found a shilling. Yeah, finding a shilling would be a wonderful thing. Not that period of shilling. You know,
How often do you find sixpences, Donna?
I found a few sixpences, and I found loads of hammered, but I've not found a shilling.
Sixpences, I don't know if it's from where people used to eat them on Christmas puddings and
I
swallow,
do, yeah.
and then the poo went on the fields. I wonder when I find.
Oh, it's a bit of that. My cousin actually found a whole little hoard of silver Christmas pudding charms in one of our fields. He found about 3. So I reckon that was where somebody lobbed the Christmas pudding out and it had still got the charms in, because they used to come in little sets of 6, I think. Or
a little tip if you're a detectorist, we have you found a sixpence, Steve?
A dozen or so, yeah.
Yeah, put them in your Christmas pudding on Christmas Day. I do that, and it's tradition, and it's a British thing. And whoever's lucky gets the sixpence, and I clean it up and put it back in my fines case. So it's a good one.
If I did that,
right,
you know who's going to eat it, don't you? Without doubt, it's not me.
Lord Martin, and he'd digest it, and he'd have stomach problems like Dave. Anyway, Steve, Bob, Joe.
Bob, and Joe too. Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you very much.
Good night, everybody, and Dave will see you next week.
Hopefully.
We hope.
Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Hopefully that's it. Bye. Bye.
Bye.